So I'm going to show you a couple examples here. Let's go maybe find an item because this is super cool. Let's look for an item. You've maybe got thousands of inventory items. You can search on a description, tab off, and then your make a selection window comes back looking like this. So I've customized this search a little bit where not only am I looking for that item number, but I'm also looking for the description, so that might be a lot faster to find a blue widget versus remembering a 12-digit item number. I can look for a short name, but we've also done a calculated field here. So you can see I've got my quantity on hand and my quantity available showing. So with SmartFill, you can customize it so that you can see calculations as well. So this is really handy for me if I'm in a transaction window and I'm maybe trying to sell a green phone. I'm able to see exactly how many I have on hand and how many I have available to sell. So this is saving my rep on the phone that time that it would take to go check the inventory quantities available and potentially sell something I don't have on hand. If I'm looking at it here, I can see right now, yep, I can sell them green phones, but I better not sell them a green cord because right now I don't even have green phones in stock. So this can maybe be a clue too that I want to sub an item. So those are just a couple of the places that I see SmartFill getting used a ton. And to customize SmartFill, let's open this up. This is our objects list. So what an object is that is the key record that we're looking for. And out of the box, without customizing anything, SmartFill is already looking for all of these key records throughout GP. So we have 21 that come with the product. So we feel like we've really hit a great kind of starting point for you guys. So looking for accounts, checkbooks, contracts, customers, employees, purchase orders, sales orders, you name it, they're all already created here. But then you can create your own as well. So again, looking for maybe a service call ID. Maybe you're looking for something in fixed assets. Those are all objects that you can create really, really easily and then have those working for you in GP2. But to customize one, it's really simple. So let's open this up, and we're looking at the customer object. So what we can do here is maybe it's easier for my users to look for a customer by their city or state. So we can come down and we can grab the table that's already associated with this object, and we can just add additional search criteria right to the object. So I can say I want to search by city. I can say I want to search and display it. I can change the sizes of my columns here. So we're going to go ahead and say we want to look for that city and that state. We'll grab those. We'll save this object, and that's all I have to do to customize it. So now I'm able to search my customers with that additional information. So I can come out here and I can say I want to look for a customer that's in our Chicago area. So I tab off, and now it went through and it's searching on the customer number, the customer name. Again, you're not even seeing Chicago showing up in any of these places, but I'm able to see what cities they're in. So think of the ways that you guys could customize this for your own use and how much faster it's going to be for you to get to those records. So that is our SmartFill kind of in a nutshell. By far our most popular product. We have over 20,000 seats of GP just sold on this product. So it's something that everyone can use. The way that you're going to work with our products or install them, you're going to install them on your servers and your workstations. So they're available for everyone. So that is SmartFill. Next product I'm going to show you is our Dynamics Report Manager. Now, we've all got reports, and reports can be kind of cumbersome because you're having to go out to so many different locations to actually get these reports to print for you. So think of even the different report types that you have. You've got your SSRS reports, you've got Crystal reports, maybe you're still using FRX reports, you've got the report writer reports that are in GP, and then you've got Excel reports. Maybe you've got Word docs sitting out places. Rather than having to go to all of those different locations and print those reports, with Dynamics Report Manager, you actually bring all of those reports right inside of GP so that you can work with them where you're actually needing to see them. So how this window works is everyone gets their own Dynamics Report Manager Explorer window, and we're going to bring in all of the different reports that you have. So think of this as your SAA window. So I'm looking at all the different report types that I have. I have 26 reports in here. My users are only going to see the reports that they have access to based on their GP security. But from here, they can just pull up a report, queue it up, so we're adding it to our print list. You'll see that we're actually passing any parameters that you have set up on the report. So if you're looking, specific customer names or numbers, you're looking to print a report for a batch, things like that, you can pass all those parameters right here, and you don't have to mess with the report at all. You have the option to email your reports out from here, or you can simply print them to the screen as well. So I can come in and I'm going to print that sales report, and this will just take a second because my crystal report is probably still sleeping. But I can go ahead and I'm looking at my all customer sales reports, and I'm shooting them off right through GP here. So give it just a second. All right. So it's already generated my report. It actually PDF'd it for me because that was the way that I wanted it to print. And I can just click on that, and the magic poof, I have my whole customer sales report right here. So really quick and easy. Another nice thing with this is if you're using Crystal, you actually only need one license of Crystal to work with DRM for all of your users. So that can end up saving you some money in the long run if you've had to purchase or are anticipating purchasing several Crystal licenses for each of your users. So that's just one example of how DRM can work for you. You can also print off batch reports. So if you want to email out a batch of invoices for all of your customers, you can do that with DRM. So you can go in, you can grab that batch of sales order processing invoices, and maybe you have 50 in there. You can know that this is actually going to email out to all the customers that you've set up email addresses on. It's going to break on those invoices, and it'll attach them to those emails separately. You can generate a nice little kind of a canned email that's customizable so that we can pull in that customer name right at the email and say, hey, Aaron Fitz, thanks for your business. Attached is your invoice, the Rockton software crew. So you've really got a lot of flexibility as far as how you want to get your reports out of the system. Now, if we jump over to launch points, these are really kind of the powerhouse that's behind DRM. What we let you do with launch points is we let you put your reports where they make the most sense for them to be in your GP. So I can come out and I can actually apply all of my reports, and I can stick them over on my home page. I can add them over to my reports, or I can attach them to fields, windows, and buttons in GP. So if I have a really pretty Crystal invoice that I want to print from that print button in the sales order processing window, I can attach my pretty invoice there. I can suppress the report writer invoices, and I can go ahead and send that off rather than having to go, go out there, run the Crystal invoice, save that to a file, and then go back and grab it. I can do it all right from within GP with a launch point. I can also use this to schedule my reports. So what I've done with one of my schedules here is these are all my month-end reports. Maybe you've got some reports that take a really long time to generate, and you feel like it's a waste of time for you to sit there and wait for this report to spin up. Maybe it takes 30 minutes or an hour to get a report to print for you. With a schedule, you can come in and you can say, okay, I want to print this up to hourly, but I want to say at the end of every month, I'm going to print these 2 reports. I'm going to print them at noon, and then I'm going to have these email out. I can password protect them if I want to, so that if by mistake they go to the wrong person, they still need a password to open the report. And I can email these out. I can have them on my desk Monday morning. So this can run over the weekend and have everything done for you when you get into the office. So it can be a really huge time saver for you. So that's, again, a launch point. We're scheduling a launch. But you can also, like I said, plug these reports into places that make sense. So if I think that my customer sales report is a better fit for being on the customer maintenance window, right here I've just attached it to my additional menu, so I can come out and I can spin that report up right from that window. Once it's had a chance to run, it generates way faster, and I can grab that customer sales report right from that window. So I don't have to bounce in and out of GP. I don't even actually ever have to enter this Report Explorer window if I don't want to, because I can plug them into the places in GP that make sense. So this is going to be a report launching tool. Keep that in mind. It's not an authoring tool, so it's not going to help you design your reports or make them look prettier. We're essentially putting the automation behind the scenes so that your reports are printing that much faster, and basically you're able to be that much more productive because you're not spending that time going out and generating those reports and grabbing those reports. So that's our Dynamics Report Manager. Next one I'm going to show you guys is Omni Price. Now, Omni Price is a little bit different than our other products because this is a little bit more specified, or specialized rather, with the kind of customer that's going to maybe need or want this product. And what we're looking for with Omni Price is we're looking for customers who are using sales order processing or invoicing to generate your sales orders, but maybe you have some complex pricing situations. Situations that, you know, GP standard pricing or extended pricing aren't necessarily a fit for. Maybe they don't give you all of the bang for your buck. Maybe it's still a manual process going back and looking at price lists and verifying sales and things like that. With Omni Price, you don't have to do that. You set up what are called contracts, and if you think of a contract, it's kind of like a price list for you. So we can come down, and I've got a summer sale going on. So I'm going to give my contract a name. I'm going to give it a priority. So we can actually come up against multiple contracts, and if the scenarios are the same, we can pick which contract do we want to give to that customer. If they're you know, looking at the same contracts or the same criteria, which contract is going to win in a fight, so to speak. So we figure out that with our priority. You can send your markdown distributions to different accounts, and then you can get picky as to what customers do I want to apply this sales to. Is this summer sale only for a specific customer? Is this for all my customers? Do I have some really good VIP customers that should get a customer sale for the summer? I can set that up using filters. So for fun, we're just going to leave it for all customers, but then we can come in and we can do the same thing for items. Maybe you're just doing your summer sale on your patio furniture. So you can pick specific items using an item filter. Again, you can use all items. You can use special ways of finding those items. The filters are really, really flexible. And then with the date, we can do the same thing. We can say, yeah, this sale is just good forever, or in this case, I'm using a date filter of summer. So I came out and I created my filter, and I just said this sale is only in effect from June 1st to August 31st. So we're running a special, and I want to know that on September 1st, I don't have to worry about this contract getting used again, because now I've got a filter in here that says that once we pass this date, we're not going to use this price list anymore. We're going to go to the next price list that applies to that scenario that we're entering in sales order processing. Then just for additional funsies, we've got lots of additional filters that you can use. So if you want to restrict your pricing to maybe customers that are using FedEx over UPS Ground, or you've got specific customers that are using specific ship-to addresses, and those addresses get charged this price for these items. Things like that you can use with the additional filters. So we've tried to make it as robust as possible to capture all of the different scenarios that you might come across when you're pricing items. And then we come down to the body of the contract. So what really gives this the most flexibility is going to be that we have 13 different price modes. So we feel like we've hit on just about all of the main ones that you might need. So we have fixed price, so we're going to always charge $5 for this. We have a fixed adjustment. Maybe you're always getting a $5 increase or decrease on an item. Then we hit our percentages of standard cost, current cost, list price, markups, markdowns, margins, or calculations. So if you're calculating off of a price level or something like that that you have set up in standard pricing, we can do that with our pricing modes. So we're going to look at this summer sale right now. We're saying that we're going to give this 128 SD RAM a 25% discount off of the list price. And then our SD RAM, we're doing a 50% discount. So we can save this, and then we can go out to our sales order processing windows, and we can run a transaction. So we've got all of our customers, so we know that that criteria is met by no matter who we're charging for. So let's grab Adam Park. We need to make sure that the date is within the time frame for that particular contract to kick in. And then we can simply grab our 32 SD-RAM here. We're seeing that our list price is going to be this $49.95, and as soon as I tab over, that's when Omni Price is going to go to work, and it's going to recalculate that price after I've decided what my quantity is going to be. So I can see that now it's given me that 50% of list price discount, so that my unit price is now $22.50. On the fly, if I'm on the phone with this customer and they want to know why am I getting this special deal, I've got a hotkey so that I can actually pull up a price check window and talk about exactly how I arrived at their price. So I'm able to see from this window what the standard cost is, that current cost, what that list price is currently. So we know based on this piece that we're using the summer contract, that they're getting 50% of the list price. So we're able to see what that list price is. There's our unit price. And then how that special price was calculated. So we're taking that $45, dividing it in half, and getting that $22.50. So right there, I can tell my user exactly what's going on, how they got their price. I can run different scenarios in this window as well. So if I want to see, they're going to buy actually 4 items, I can change that and then see how this will calculate out for them. Omni Price also has some built-in functionality to speed these processes up. So if I know that I'm going to use this summer sale again next year, but maybe I'm just going to swap out some of the items that are on special, I can duplicate my contracts so that all I have to do is change out the items. The main work is done for me. I can also do all of these updates and change prices out in Excel and then import those Excel sheets in. So we'll export a contract out, basically giving you a full template so that you can create all your pricing, import it in if that's faster for you, and then have that to go, ready to go for you for your prices. And we've also got some mass price updates. So maybe all across the board, next year you're giving your customers a 2% increase in the cost of their contracts. We can do that automatically for you with our mass pricing change window. So it's a really robust system for pricing. Again, you need to be using sales order processing or invoicing. And this sits right on top of GP standard pricing. So if you're on extended pricing, you're going to need to revert over to standard pricing for this to work. But we're going to take those amounts that are in standard pricing, and then that's what Omni Price is going to figure out the prices based on. So that is our Omni Price product. The next one I'm going to show you, hope you're all staying awake and staying with me here, we're going to look at our Auditor and our Toolbox products. And these are some of our second most popular products, if you will, mainly because if we look at Auditor, GP doesn't come standard with any kind of auditing functionality really built into the product. If you want to know who changed a record and why, we can't tell you that without some sort of third-party application, an auditing piece in place to show you that information. So this is especially important for those of you that are trying to meet SOX compliance, or those of you that have questions around, is someone in my company committing fraud? Are my users being productive? Maybe I want to see the number of transactions that any given user is entering in a day. I can capture that type of information with Auditor and use that as a report to see who are my more productive workers in a day, or who are the people that are changing these sensitive fields that I need to know about. So we can come in here and we're going to grab a vendor. Okay, so we have West Junction Service here. Now, what sets our auditing software apart from others is that we are all field-specific audits. So to improve performance and so that we don't get a lot of calls saying, oh, your auditor is dragging our system through the mud here, our auditing is field-specific. So if you look at any window in GP, any third-party product window, we're looking for the specific fields that you can audit. So I can look at this window and I can run several different audits on all of the different fields, but I can pick which ones are the most important. So sit down with your auditors and figure out, I don't necessarily care you know, when a phone number changes, but I want to know when someone changes this check name because this is a red flag right here. So we're going to make a few changes. I'm going to go ahead and change the check name to Alicia. So now when this next check run runs and West Junction Services is in it, Alicia Weigel is actually going to get the check, not West Junction Services. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mail this check to myself so that I've just kind of completed the whole circle. So we're going to send this to my address in Fargo, North Dakota. Now at this point, my user can just click the Save button and go on with their day. But we have two options for you when you're auditing. So the first one is that you can audit silently in the background. You never have to tell your users that you're auditing them. So they can go about their work and all of this happens quietly in the background. They don't know what fields are being audited. They have no idea. Or with sensitive fields, I can say, I want you to tell me why you changed that. Or maybe why you gave Angela a raise this fall. You know, things like that. Think of places where you want to know why someone changed something. You can require that user to enter a note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Save, and I'm going to show you both examples with just this one window. So as soon as I hit Save, my Auditor Note Maintenance window just popped open. And this is specific to this vendor check name field. So it's saying, hey, why are you changing that field? Here's your old value, here's your new value, now tell me why. This is a required field, so they need to give you a reason why they changed something. Now you guys can set up predefined reasons. So maybe you are changing that vendor check name on a regular basis for a good reason. You can set that in there if it's faster, or they can free text type here as well. Now down on the lower right-hand side of my window, you're seeing an Audit Message Center notification popping up. That is letting my audit administrators know in real time that someone just changed this vendor check name field. So that's going to pop up in their GP system. It's going to kind of fade away. So maybe they missed that message. Every audit administrator gets a message center. So they can go back and they can review those audits that have happened that are pertinent to them. So maybe this needs to go to a couple of the managers for the purchasing department to verify that that change is actually legit. Or you can have that send out as an email as well. So that's another way to notify those audit administrators that, hey, this just happened. So we can come in here and we can say that Alicia is committing fraud. Easy enough. Probably not going to get a note like that in your particular situations, but it's for fun. So we'll say OK to that. At that point, my user has done everything that they need to do to continue on with their day-to-day work operations. We're not making it a long, drawn-out process. That's not an approval process. It's just saying, tell us why you changed it. So we can close that. And now we can go report on the changes that have just occurred. And our reporting engine, if you will, is about as simple as it gets because it's all right in SmartList. Excuse me. Got to get some water. So other accounting or auditing software, a lot of times you're not even in the same database. So you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to create all these SSRS reports. You're going to need someone to do that for you. With our auditor, it's all in SmartList, and this is something that most organizations are very familiar with working with. You don't need Builder or Designer. You can just use GP Standard SmartList here. We're not asking you to know anything about creating reports when you're coming in to audit and report on your audits. So when you install SmartFill, it's the server and the workstations again. And once you have that done, we'll create this nice little auditor folder for you. And if we expand on that, we have 3 subfolders in here. So audits are going to cover every kind of audit that you have running. And our audits are company-wide. So that means we live in the Dynamics database, and we're able to audit all of your companies simultaneously. So you actually can report on all of your companies from whatever company you're in at the time. So you don't have to bounce back and forth. So all audits are kept in there. e-sign approvals. This comes included with Auditor, which is awesome. So if you want to lock down sensitive fields, you can do that with e-sign approvals. So if I wanted to make sure that anytime that vendor check name gets changed, we actually have an approval in play so that my user has to request another approver to come in and actually okay that change before it can be made. And then we keep track of that entire activity as it's going through the process and keep it separate inside of our e-sign approvals. So we're saying this is the person that requested the change, this is the reason they were making the change, this is the person that they asked to approve that change, and then that user either approved or denied that change. So that whole spectrum of that process happening is all captured for you and kept separately. And then our security audits folder, we have a really simple way to monitor all of the changes that happen to your GP security. So again, if you're trying to meet that SOX compliance and you want to run a report to simply say these are all of the changes that have happened to my security this year, you can do that, and we keep those separately. You mark one checkbox, and automatically we're tracking who created new users, who deleted a user's ID, who changed security. Maybe you created a new role, assigned a new task to a role, modified an existing task. All of those types of activities are monitored for you and kept separate. So it's a really nice way to have real clarity into exactly what's happening in your system in the day-to-day. But we're going to focus on the audit side. So if we run the little asterisks here, this again is all of those audits company-wide. So I'm looking at my audits that are happening in my GL, in my sales order processing, at the vendor level, at the transaction level, posting definitions, changes all across my company are all held right here. And then what we're doing is we're using the search functionality to create the report. So if I want to show you all of the changes that have happened for the month of July, I can come in here and I can say where my date is between July 1st and July 31st. And at that point, I can save this as a favorite, and I've got that report then anytime I want at my fingertips. Or I can come in and say, you know, I want to see all of the changes that Allie's made this year. I can come in and I can switch this to, you know, I want to see where the user ID is equal to Allie. So I have a lot of flexibility as far as what do I want to report on. So once I've saved those favorites, you can see I've got quite a few going here. I can come in and I can just pull these reports at any point that I want. So we'll go into our July 2015 audits, and I can see I've run 150 audits so far in July. I've been doing a lot of testing lately. So I can come in here, and I can drill back, and I can see just the changes that I've made. So if we look down here at the West Junction that we just did some changes on, you're going to see that each individual change that I made is its own line in SmartList. So this allows you to really hone in on the changes that are happening in your system because they're at that field level. So I can see here's where I changed my address. Here's where I changed that city from Chicago to Fargo, my state from Illinois to North Dakota, and then my vendor check name change. But then I want to get some more detailed information. I'm getting it all right here, so I can send this to Word. I can PDF that and I can email that out. I could send this out to an Excel sheet just like any other SmartList and work with it in Excel. Or I can simply print the list out if I want to get this to a manager and just say, hey, do you want to quick breeze through these and see if all these changes are right? But I can drill back and I get into this Audit Inquiry window. So what this is giving me is always a date and time stamp. I want to know down to the second when this change happened. My user is the person that made the change, the workstation that they were logged into at the time. Maybe I want to go back and review some video footage. Now I know what computer they were sitting at the time the change happened. The company that they affected. And then what type of audit was I running? What event occurred? We can capture 3 different event types. We've got your ads, so in addition to the vendor master table here in this case, we can delete, so someone went in and deleted a vendor out. Great. What did they do that for and when did that happen? Or they edited an existing record. So in this case, we know that this is a change to a vendor that was already out there. We're going to show you the product. So again, third-party products. The field that was changed, the table that field lives in, the key record that was worked on, so in this case that West Junction vendor, the old value, the new value, and then any notes that you required that user to enter. If you didn't have a note, this field just stays blank. It's also got some drill back functionality, so if we look at this record key, we can drill in, and this gives us our reference fields. So basically when you're creating your audits, we're giving you a place to put in more information so that you know exactly what was being worked on. In this case, West Junk 0001 might not be a very intuitive way for me to find out what record was being changed. Maybe this is just a numeric value. So I plugged in the vendor name as well so that I can say, oh, that's the vendor that I need to go back and check on. So that's how our reference fields work, and this is the place where 99% of your reporting is going to happen. So we've made it about as simple as possible to get your audits out of your system without having to build your own custom reports. One other place that you can do some reporting is right at that vendor level. So if we come back and we grab West Junction Services again, we have it set up so that if you go up to additional and view related audits, I'm able to see all of the audits that have been happening to this particular vendor's record since I started auditing them. So I can look in here for trends. I can look for, maybe an address that they had 2 years ago. If I'm keeping history for that long, I can go back and look at that address from 2 years ago and see what they were listed at. It's also nice if I want to just kind of have one quick place to look rather than going out to that smart list. I can see it right here. So this is, again, telling me everything that's happened to West Junction Service in this window since I started auditing. And then I still have drill back functionality in this window as well. So I can get right to that Audit Inquiry window without having to bounce around a whole lot. So that is our Auditor product. Lots and lots of people love that one. It's one of my favorite products, so if you want to see more about how you actually create audits and things, let Allie or one of your TM group people know, and I'd be happy to show you a more in-depth demo on Auditor. It also does have segregation of duties functionality built in. So if you're, again, meeting that SOX compliance piece, we have a way for you to define a segregation of duties and then go and report and see where your conflicts are. Maybe you've got users that are doing all sorts of tasks that overlap with one another and they shouldn't be. We have a way for you to correct that as well. So that is Auditor. And we are cruising right along here. We've got about 20 minutes left. So I'm going to jump into our Dynamics GP Toolbox. And I like to save this one for last because our toolbox has over 25 different tools in it. So this means that you purchase one product and you're getting 25 tools that make your life a heck of a lot easier in one nice little package. And you decide which tools you want to use once you've purchased it. So I'll kind of show you the short list here. Lots and lots of options around security, system administration, regular administration, business process, and then we have our user experience, which means that there's tools in here that absolutely everybody can use. The first one I always like to show people is our security manager piece. And this is awesome because we know that GP security is really big and it's really kind of cumbersome. It's hard to work with. Nobody really knows what everybody has access to. If you want to find out all the windows and places that a user could get into in GP, you're probably writing your own SSRS report and it's probably taking you way too much time to do. With our security manager, we've taken all of that away for you. So how this window lays out is we've taken GP Security and GP Advanced Security and we've combined it into one window, and it's all set up on a grid format. You can look at all your different companies' security right in one place. So again, you don't have to bounce between companies. Then you're going to select a filter. It comes with a few predefined filters, and then you can create your own as you need to. But who has access to what posting permissions, what roles, what windows? All of these filters are here for you to use right off the bat. So we're going to look at the role side. And then we decide how much information do we really want in this window. So you've got a few options here. We've got role only. We have roles and tasks, and roles, tasks, and details. So we can get really granular into what we're looking at. So I'm able to actually see right from this window, these are the windows that my user can access, as well as the reports that they're accessing based on the role that we're looking at. So I can get all of that information right in one place. And then I bring in my users. So I can look at one user. If I want to pull that report, all of this window is completely printable and it's dynamic based on what you're looking at. So I've got 5 users across the top. I can look at several users. I can look at one. I can pull in a whole department of people if I want to. Whatever I want to report on, I can pull it in across the top. And then right at a glance, I can see what each of those users has access to at this role level. So I'm able to see that Alicia's an accounting manager, but Abby isn't. This little pound sign here is indicating that I actually have a conflict with the segregation of duties somewhere in this role as well. So there's something that, based on the way I have my auditor set up, I need to correct in order to clear up a conflict with the segregation of duties. I can also manage my security from here. Funny how that is aptly named. So if Abby should, in fact, be an accounting manager role, or maybe she's filling in for Alicia while Alicia's on vacation, I can simply flip her from no to yes, and then that's going to update all of the details below that role. So we know that the security has to be managed at that role level, so we're able to then swap out and say, yep, she can now access all of these windows. Really, really quick and easy to make those types of changes. I can also, again, export all of this to Excel. So this window takes some time to load because it's got all of the security setups, all of the roles, all of those users, and all of your companies listed. So if it's quicker and easier for you to run this out in Excel, you can export it out to an Excel sheet or to a CSV file, and then change it out there, import it back in, and then this window updates with all of those changes that you made in Excel. So we've made it really, really easy for you to make those changes and manage the GP security. So that's Security Manager. Again, one of the 25 tools. Next one I'm going to show you guys is Inactivity Timeout, because I get lots and lots of requests for this particular feature. So to turn on a feature, all I literally have to do is left click on it, and now it's working. So again, not a lot of setup goes into this. But Inactivity Timeout, this is the amount of time that you want to give a user in the system that they can be inactive before we gracefully log them out. So if you have people that are sitting on your system and hogging licenses for days on end, maybe you've got a sleeper that just never logs out of GP, this tool will be your new best friend because you no longer have to monitor that with another type of job or wasting your SA or your system admin's precious time running through and looking at that activity table and seeing, oh man, John hasn't logged in since last Thursday. And maybe somebody else would like to get in that's actually working. So once we enable this, we set a default amount of time that's kind of a catch-all for if we don't have someone in a user group. So after 2 hours, if you're not given specific time based on your user or a user group, we're saying we're going to log you out after 2 hours. If you haven't done something, it's time to go. But we kind of realized when we originally designed this product that this time wasn't a one-size-fits-all, because maybe you've got people in your system like your admins, they should probably never be logged out of the system. So we can exclude them from a group. We can put those admins into their own group and say you're excluded from this tool. It doesn't apply to you. But we've got our light system users that maybe they only spend just a little bit of time in the system in the morning. Maybe they're entering time against a project or they're checking inventory and then they should be logging out, but they're not. So we created the user group functionality last year so that we can create a user group, plug in a few users into those groups, and then manage that group by itself. So my light users are included in this group, and then they have 30 minutes of inactivity before they're timed out of the system. And our logouts are graceful, meaning it's the same as going up and doing a file exit or hitting the red X up here and closing them out. So we're not leaving a user's activity stranded in that table where they come in and then they have to delete their session, like if the system crashed or something like that. We're cleanly logging them out. And then what we're looking for with an activity is a push or a pull of data from the tables. So a user cannot come in and just wiggle their mouse and wake the screen up and that's going to save them from being logged out. They actually have to be doing something. On the flip side, we're not going to log them out if they're doing something that takes a long time. So if they're posting a batch, if they're in the middle of entering a transaction, if they're running a report that takes 2 hours to generate and their 30 minutes is up, we're not going to log them out because at that point we know that there's movement of data happening at that time, so we're going to pass by and come back and check again in 30 minutes to see if they're still working. Other nice thing here is that we can schedule when we want this tool turned on. So I can say, you know, Monday through Friday, this is really busy for us. This is when I really care about users being out of the system when they're not actively working. But on the weekends, maybe you've got folks that work from home and they're working on their own time or they're working on a project between running to soccer and getting the kids to the next thing. You can schedule when this is turned on and off. So on the weekends, my users can be in the system as long as they want for this particular user group. So we've tried to make it as flexible for every situation as we could. So that's Inactivity Timeout. Love that one. System Lockout is very similar. And what this one is going to do is it's basically allowing you to lock your GP system down. So maybe you've discovered that something went terribly, terribly wrong, and you need to do a quick backup and restore, or restore to a previous time, and you want to say, everybody get out of GP right now. We can enable a system lockout. We can send a message to all of our users in GP saying that the system is going to log you out in 30 seconds. Get out. At that point, it's going to go through, it's going to log all of your users out that are not actively doing something. Same rules apply. We're not going to try to log them out if they're in the middle of something. If they're finishing a transaction, they're posting a batch. We don't want to screw up your data any worse than it may already have been already. So we're going to let those processes complete, and then we're going to log them out of GP, and they won't be able to get back into GP. You can also set a time frame on this. So if you know you're going to be running system maintenance on Saturday from 8 in the morning until noon, we can lock the system down for that specified amount of time. And then know that at noon or at 12:01, the lockout is going to lift and people can get back in. And you can do the same thing with scheduling here. And again, this can be done at that user group level. So if you want to say that, you know, maybe you have contract employees that shouldn't be in your system on the weekends, you can lock the system out for that particular user group for that weekend. So it's got a lot of flexibility as far as getting users out and keeping them out. One thing to note with this one, have your admins excluded from this because somebody needs to be able to get into GP. Okay, turn that one off because I've locked myself out myself. Couple other ones I want to show you here real quick. Mentor. This is one that everybody has access to in your system. So this is a great tool because it's kind of like SmartFill for finding windows in GP. So you tell us what you're looking for, and we'll look at all your third-party products. We'll look all throughout GP, and we'll find the window that you're looking for. This is really great for folks that are new to GP. Maybe the navigation is still a little bit foreign, or finding windows that you don't go to very often. I had to use this yesterday because I had a batch that got stuck in La La Land, and I could not remember where the batch recovery window was. So I had to just come in here quick when I was testing and say, I'm looking for batch recovery. I didn't have to type the whole word in completely, but I went in, I looked it up, and then right at the top, there's batch recovery. It's showing me the path, so it's kind of subconsciously teaching me how to get there. But I can also just double click, which is what I did. Oh, there's my batch, it's still stuck. And I can come out here and I can find my batch recovery window. I can double click, I can open it, I've saved myself that much time. I can go ahead and say, all right, there it goes. Now go back to available so I can fix you. That's one of the really cool features here. I can add shortcuts to windows, so if it's something that I'm going to be using on a regular basis, which that batch has been giving me trouble, so maybe I should add a shortcut there, I can do that with Mentor. The one really cool thing with this is that if I'm a Toolbox administrator, I get this added little security button on the right. And if I click that, maybe I have a user that comes to me and says, hey, Alicia, I really need to have access to this batch recovery window. I keep messing up my batches. They're going in there all the time. I can say, okay, well, you don't have access to that, so let's take a look. If I type or punch in the security button, I'm able to see that window, and then I can pull this open, and I can see that they would need access to this admin company 011 task, which lives inside the accounting manager role in order to be able to access that batch recovery window. Then I can actually pull my user right in there. I can pick the company that I want to give them access to this window in, and I can just double click on this stop sign, and then they will have access to this role so that they can access that window. So it's very cool as far as saving time trying to figure out where things are in security. So it's kind of that backwards way, but I love that part about Mentor. I think it's really handy. So again, everybody gets access to this. Other things that everyone gets access to are going to be our pop-ups. So a pop-up, in this case, this is a pop-up note. It is attached to a window. So if I want to get information across to all of my users, I can use a pop-up, attach it to this window, and then I know that they are always going to see this make sure you verify checkbooks every day when they open this window. I can decide, okay, I only want them to see it the first time they're in that window or every single time they're in this window. So it's a good way for me to maybe plug in a page of a manual or maybe just some processes that I want them to see on a regular basis. That's what I can use a pop-up for. My users can also go up to the additional and enter a My Note. So this is specific to the user that's logged into GP, but it's a way for them to type in, maybe they've got their own process they need to follow, maybe there's a script that they're supposed to follow. When they're in a window, you can add that in there, and then they see that anytime that they're logged in and it's specific to them. We also went one step further with this, and we've actually created what are called Popup Objects now. So I can actually go to like an item, to a specific vendor or customer, and I can attach notes to those records specifically so that if I have a customer that maybe always gets a discount, I can attach that pop-up record. Okay, so we've got very medical, and now I'm popping out this little OLI note right in front of my user every single time this particular customer gets brought up, whether it's in the sales order entry window, maybe it's a receivables document, maybe it's right in this customer maintenance. I know that they're a VIP customer and they always get a 25% discount. And I know that this is always going to actually pop up in front of my user's face in case they miss the little yellow sticky note. So that's another one that everybody can use, and we have lots and lots of customers that love that feature. So like I said, over 25 tools in just that particular product alone. So I'm not going to bore you with any more of those. I will give you some additional information here just in general in closing. This is me. I am Alicia Weigel. This is how you reach me. I do all of our demos, so if you'd like to see a product more in depth or you've got questions on any of the ones that you saw today besides the few minutes I'll give you here at the end, let me know. Reach out to us at sales@rocktonsoftware.com, or you can reach me directly. We do offer free trials of all of our products. So if you saw something that was interesting today and you think, hey, I'd like to see how SmartFill works for all of my users, they're full versions of the product. You get them for 30 days. There's no obligation to buy it at that point. Try them out. See if something kind of clicks for you and you want to use it. Also, since you are all taking time out of your day today, we are offering anyone that is working with the TM group a 20% discount on any of these products, which is good through August. So if something catches your eye, let us know. We'd be happy to work with TM group in getting you that discount.